I had to return to the office but faced workstation issues. Work stalled significantly until management realized my predicament. Note, this is a repost. The previous post was taken down due to violations of the rules. Additional clarifying information has been provided at the end. Backstory: I was hired by an information technology multinational corporation during the COVID pandemic. My supervisor is incredibly easygoing and a remarkable leader. My grandfather, who is also my supervisor's superior, is very strict about rules. For the purpose of this narrative, I will refer to my supervisor as Sam and my grandfather as Murad. I serve as the infrastructure and configuration manager. All work submissions must come through me first. If I do not approve them, they cannot proceed to the next team. I act as a crucial point, and any decline in my efficiency translates to significant delays further down the line. However, aside from Sam, upper management is blissfully unaware of this dependency. Story: when I was hired, there was no office in my location. My hiring took place at an office located over 1,100 miles away. All onboarding procedures were conducted online. Since then, I have only visited the office for a 2-week workshop, for which the company arranged travel. 3 months ago, a new office opened in my city, which now has just 14 employees. My official location was moved here to meet the minimum requirement of 15 necessary to establish an office according to regulations. We are an information technology multinational corporation providing services to an automotive company. My work is entirely remote, so I do not need to go into the office. I also genuinely enjoy working from home. The company began offering optional office attendance last year and a hybrid model at the start of this year, but everything largely depended on the supervisor's approval. Sam is based overseas in another country and has never required any team member to report to the office. In contrast, Murad expects everyone in our location to return to the office full-time. Typically, Sam shields us from this expectation. Recently, Sam transitioned to a different team within the same project, leaving a new individual to manage our team. Although Sam remains my supervisor, I no longer collaborate with him on my work, which is quite disappointing. The new manager is unfamiliar with the company and easily influenced by Murad. Murad, originally from my city, decided to return to oversee the new office. His first directive was that everyone in this city must work from the office. The other 14 employees remain unaffected since they had already been working from the office, utilizing specialized equipment that is only available there. I am the only one who faces this change. I attempt to explain to him that this will hamper my productivity, but he remains unconvinced. I discuss the situation with Sam, who sympathizes but is unable to intervene. I am a tall individual with several orthopedic issues that require my workstation and chair to meet specific dimensions. Over the past 3 years, I have organized a suitable setup at home, but replicating it in a new office environment poses a challenge. Nevertheless, I have been instructed to return to the office. On my debut day at the office, approximately 16 days ago, I communicated my workstation requirements to the building manager. I highlighted the corresponding occupational safety and health administration violations if these are not met. He informed me that it would take 45 to 60 days to create or acquire a workstation that meets the necessary standards. For the next 2 weeks, I remained in the office's relaxation zone, which has a chair that I can use without causing back pain. However, it is not a functional desk, so I was unable to perform any work during my time at the office. Consequently, productivity slowed significantly. The teams were idle as operations were stalled at my gate. There are biweekly deliveries across various milestones, approximately 6 to 12 deliveries each month, and we missed 7 of them during that period. Murad is frustrated but remains unaware of the reasons for the delays. The new manager is similarly perplexed. This matter escalates to the CEO, who instructs Sam to review his previous project to determine the source of the problem. It takes Sam just 30 minutes to figure out that my gate is blocked. He requests that I join a call to discuss the issue. I am obviously not available on my laptop at that moment. After some back and forth, Murad himself eventually exits his office in search of me. However, the relaxation zone is located on a different floor, and he struggles to locate me, concluding that we should have another call the following day. Shortly after, he reaches me on my mobile. The conversation unfolds as follows: Murad, where are you? I couldn't find you on our floor. Could you please come to my office? Me, certainly. I go to his office and explain the situation. Murad, why didn't you inform me about this 2 weeks ago? Me, I did. I mentioned that making me come to the office would reduce my productivity, and the workstation issue is a matter for the building manager, not you, which is why I did not bring it to your attention. My supervisor is aware of this. I informed Sam when I joined the company. Murad, please work from home until your workstation is ready. The next day, which was last Friday, I worked from home. A call with Sam took place before lunch, and the CEO joined as well. Sam asked me to explain why activities were stalled at my gate. Before I could respond, Murad interjected, stating that it was a minor issue and that everything would be resolved quickly. However, the CEO demanded clarification. I presented my case, and Sam supported my statements concerning my condition. He also mentioned that this situation had been specifically outlined in his handover to the new manager when he departed from the team. I was subsequently asked to leave the call and return to my work. After lunchtime, there was another conference call involving Murad, Sam, the building manager, and myself. The building manager informed us that setting up my workstation would cost the company approximately $2,500. Since it is a non-standard workstation, it must be installed in a separate room, which would incur a charge of $20,000 annually. If we decide to proceed, it would take roughly 30 days to arrange everything. Murad stated that he would inform me of the decision by the following Tuesday. As it is Sunday today, I decided to write this up after receiving a call from Sam this morning. Murad has apparently completed his work in my city and will be returning next week. I am permitted to continue working from home, and my workstation, chair, and separate room should be ready by the end of next month. I am free to work from the office whenever I choose. Clarifications: I will address some common questions. Multinational corporation. This is the full form of MNC, which is a commonly used acronym. Grandfather, the term used for a manager's manager in my culture, is grandfather. The hierarchy is likened to a family structure. The great-grandfather becomes the grandfather's manager, and so on. We do not address them using these titles, but refer to them in conversations, emails, or official documentation. For instance, an official document regarding mobile bill reimbursements may state mobile bills up to $50 are approved. Any higher amount will require grandfather approval. Room charge: given that we only have 15 employees, our office space is rented within a building shared by multiple small companies. Additional rooms are not included in the original contract and must therefore be rented separately. Story 2. OMG, I bought a fixer-upper only to discover my neighbor siphoned my water. I cut off the supply, and his pump burned out, leaving him destitute. I reside in Asia and recently acquired a new home. The prior owners were family friends who urgently needed cash and had not been residing in my country for almost 3 years. Consequently, I purchased the property at an excellent price right in the heart of the capital city. The transaction was completed at the beginning of this month, and I moved in immediately afterward. The house was certainly in need of renovation, as the previous owners had departed in the middle of improvements, leaving the main entrance secured only with a padlock instead of a proper door lock. There was no gate at the property, so anyone could freely enter. On the first day of my move, I found a bicycle parked in the garage. I simply placed it on the street the same day I had a gate installed. Later that day, a frustrated man was banging on my gate, and I chose not to respond, but through my window, I noticed him give up and retrieve the bicycle after about 15 minutes. Already, I was not fond of the neighborhood. However, there were no further incidents after that, aside from individuals assuming the house was still abandoned, leading to my gate being blocked more often than not. A "no parking" sign on my gate resolved that issue. Last week, while I was showering in my bathroom, I noticed that the water pressure was lower than usual. I also heard the water pump from my neighbor's property running. This neighbor, an elderly gentleman, lived in a 3-story house, with the first floor being his residence and the remaining 2 floors rented out to tenants. This man was unhappy about the sale of the house and expressed numerous concerns to my friends, the former owners. He was extremely upset about the transaction and although my friends had warned me about him, I am a 6-foot man with 3 dogs. I was not worried about him causing any trouble, and indeed, he did not. In this living situation, a water pump is necessary to supply water to the rooftop tanks, given that the public water supply pressure is insufficient to reach 3 stories. Upon hearing the water pump, I immediately grew suspicious. Coincidences may occur, but it would not hurt to investigate. I waited for his pump to stop running and then turned on various taps in my house. Sure enough, the pressure returned to normal. This only heightened my suspicion, but if he was indeed stealing water, it would also explain the increasing water bills over the years while the house was unoccupied, although there were also some leaks contributing to the higher costs. It had been rationalized as such, despite the bills being too high to be solely attributed to leaks. Now, everything started to align. At some point during the past 3 years, this old miser must have decided to save on water costs by intruding onto the property and siphoning water from my lines. While I could not pinpoint the exact source of the theft, after checking my water pressure multiple times, I was quite certain. I pondered for a few days whether I should confront him, pursue legal action, or simply let it be. Water is relatively inexpensive in my country. My total monthly bill, even while washing 3 pets, a car every week, and tending to my garden, only amounts to around $5, even with the neighbor likely stealing some of it. However, it was not merely about how much I was paying or who was incredibly responsible for it. It was about selfish elderly individuals who believe they are entitled to use others' resources without compensating for them, getting away with such actions. This did not sit well with me, and I genuinely wanted to teach him a lesson. My approach was quite straightforward. I turned off my water supply at the mains. This way, I would not need to trespass onto his property, nor would I be violating any laws. It was the most effective strategy to retaliate without exerting any physical effort. So, on Monday, just 4 days ago, I waited until the pump activated, then I shut off the supply. In my country, household tanks operate with a ball valve that detects water levels and activates the pump. If the level does not rise, the valve remains open, signaling the pump to remain active until the level reaches a certain point, at which point the valve closes and stops the pump. Yet, the water level was not increasing, and it is common knowledge that depriving a pump of water is not advisable. I anticipated that this would damage his pump and create problems for his tenants. What I failed to consider is that the continuous operation of his pump would lead to power issues by consistently consuming electricity overnight and ultimately ruin his wiring. If he had upgraded to more modern electrical standards, this situation could have been avoided. The house clearly still had wiring from the 1990s. Around 3 a.m., I heard all the occupants of the house stirring and conversing in low voices, questioning why only their home in the neighborhood lacked power and water. I learned about the power outage because the tenants escalated into shouting at their landlord. Our tenant protection regulations are quite significant, and electricity and water are categorized as essential services, even at the state level. Interrupting these services can lead to lawsuits, unless caused by weather events or other unavoidable circumstances. In this instance, the landlord holds the responsibility for maintaining the house's wiring and ensuring a reliable supply of water. Hence, the tenants were dissatisfied, and one tenant immediately moved out 2 days later upon being informed that neither water nor power would be reinstated on the same day this incident occurred. Both tenants residing on the upper floors filed a complaint with the police, and when an individual is in clear violation of the law, the police can impose fines or penalties without needing a court order. They can contest the fines in court if they believe they were treated unfairly, but they must still pay them and will only be reimbursed if the court deems the fines unlawful. Now, the landlord has lost both tenants and faces a fine of $500, which is substantial in our country. He must also return the security deposits of both tenants and cannot lease the property until both issues are rectified, leading to further expenses. At present, he is moving to his daughter's residence this Sunday as he can no longer afford to live independently. The tenants were his sole source of income, and since he is a retired mechanic, he lacks any other financial means. He eventually discovered why the motor continued to draw power, which caused the wiring to overload and fail. He came to my gate and asked whether I had turned off my water, and I casually mentioned, "Oh yes, my tank developed a new leak in a pipe, and I shut it off until the plumber arrives tomorrow to fix it." The expression on his face was priceless. He managed to maintain composure, but I could tell he was holding back. All he said was, "Oh, okay," before returning inside. I am uncertain if he realizes that I am aware of what he was doing, but it does not matter since he cannot take any action. I have scheduled a plumber to come next week to rectify my plumbing issues and remove any pipes that connect to his property. Thus, I resolved my water problem and eliminated a potentially troublesome neighbor by simply turning off a tap. Two problems addressed at once, I would say. Summary: I acquired an abandoned house, and the neighbor was siphoning water from my supply. I shut off my water supply while his pump was operating, causing it to burn out along with the wiring in his house, which resulted in him and his tenants being without water and power. The tenants filed complaints with the police, leading to the landlord receiving fines, rendering him destitute and forcing him to move in with his daughter. Story 3. Your body has energy pathways called meridians that allow you to flood yourself with euphoria on demand. I used to experience various negative emotions, with positive feelings being quite rare. That was prior to discovering this self-hack that I now utilize to balance my emotions, not solely to feel good but to maintain stability whenever I am overwhelmed by feelings such as stress, anxiety, or depression. The self-hack I found is attributed to our body's circulatory system, referred to as meridians in traditional Chinese medicine and nadis in yoga practices. This system allows you to circulate euphoria throughout your body upon demand and for extended periods. However, you must first unblock these energy channels. These channels become obstructed over time as we fill our bodies with negative energy, which is heavy when we focus on unwanted thoughts or feelings. There is a straightforward technique that enables us to clear these pathways in almost a minute or two, depending on your awareness and experience with your energetic body. When accomplished, you can regain the capacity to feel euphoria throughout your being for prolonged periods with a second practice, which is essentially the conscious movement of your vital energy. This subtle energy is not only the core of positive emotions within the physical body, but it also exists in everything found in nature. After taking control of this energy, the euphoric sensations coursing through my body have been exceptionally blissful. This energy has been researched and documented under numerous terms by different individuals and cultures, including eye high, runner's high, what is experienced during an asthma session, bioelectricity, euphoria, ecstasy, voluntary piloerection, goosebumps. Freesaw, the vibrational state experienced before an astral projection, spiritual energy, orgone, rapture, tension, aura, nen, otic force, secret fire, tummo, kai-in. Taoism and martial arts, prana in Hindu philosophy, life force, vayas, intent, piti, etha, spiritual chills. Chills from positive stimuli, the tingles, on-demand quickening, rua, and many more terms yet to be uncovered, potentially with your assistance. In time, you can learn to summon this wave of euphoric energy and feel it throughout your entire body, inundating your being with its inherent bliss and mastering it to the point of controlling how long the effects last. Each of these terms illustrates how activating this subtle energy can yield various biological benefits, such as unblocking your lymphatic system or meridians, experiencing euphoria or ecstasy throughout your entire body, directing your spiritual chills. Anywhere within your body, regulating your body temperature, inducing goosebumps, dilating your pupils, normalizing your heartbeat, counteracting stress and anxiety within your body, healing yourself from within, accessing your hypothalamus on command, controlling your tensor tympani muscle. I have also discovered additional spiritual applications, such as providing confirmation signs, effectively utilizing your psychic senses, clairvoyance, clairaudience, spirit projection, higher self-guidance, third eye vision, managing your auric field manifestation, absorbing energy from any source. Here are 3 detailed tutorials that delve more comprehensively into this subtle energy, explicitly revealing how you can learn to consciously feel it, perceive it anywhere, amplify it, and explore those biological and spiritual applications. P.S. Everyone experiences this phenomenon at different points in their lives. Some dismiss it, while others recognize that something more profound is occurring. These are precisely the individuals you can find in our Spiritual Chills, where they share experiences, knowledge, and advice on this topic.